Do you ever feel an invisible wall between you and others? That quiet ache of loneliness, even when you're surrounded by people? It's a deeper struggle than just shyness. It's a profound disconnect, a whisper from your nervous system telling you something vital is missing. This isn't about being an introvert or an extrovert. It's about a primal human need, hardwired into our very brains, the need for genuine connection. When that need goes unmet, it doesn't just make us sad, it actively changes our brain, trapping us in a cycle of isolation and self-protection. We become walled off, not because we want to be, but because our nervous system is screaming, "Danger! Retreat!" I remember a period in my life where I felt utterly adrift. I was surrounded by colleagues and acquaintances, but every conversation felt superficial, every interaction a performance. I'd go home at night with a hollow feeling in my chest, replaying awkward moments, dissecting perceived slights. My brain felt like it was constantly on high alert, scanning for rejection, for judgment. It was exhausting. I craved connection, but every attempt felt like walking through quicksand. The more I tried, the more isolated I became, convinced that something was fundamentally wrong with me, that I was destined to be alone. It was a vicious cycle fueled by a nervous system stuck in self-preservation mode. We often think of connection as a purely emotional or social endeavor, but the truth is far more profound. Our brains are built for connection. They are literally wired for it. When we experience genuine connection, a cascade of neurochemicals floods our system. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, dopamine, associated with reward and pleasure, even serotonin, which regulates mood. These aren't just feel-good chemicals. They are vital for our mental and physical health. Without them, our brains go into a different mode entirely. The surprising neuroscience of making connections reveals a critical feedback loop. When we feel safe and connected, our ventral vagal complex, part of our autonomic nervous system, is activated. This system promotes social engagement, calm, and openness. It allows us to truly see and hear others, to be present, to respond authentically. But when we feel threatened, even by the subtle threat of potential rejection or judgment, our nervous system shifts. Instead of the ventral vagal system, we activate the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, or even the dorsal vagal complex, freeze or shut down. Imagine trying to truly connect with someone when your body is preparing to run, fight, or completely disengage. It's impossible. Your brain perceives social interaction as a threat, and its primary directive becomes self-preservation, not connection. This is why you might feel your heart race, your palms sweat, or your mind go blank when you try to engage deeply. It's not a character flaw, it's a physiological response. This leads to the crucial insight. You cannot connect genuinely if your nervous system is in a state of threat. Every awkward pause, every perceived judgment, every uncomfortable silence reinforces the message. It's not safe here. Withdraw. Your brain, in its attempt to protect you, builds thicker and thicker walls, isolating you further, even as you desperately crave closeness. For a long time, I blamed myself. I thought I wasn't witty enough, interesting enough, or outgoing enough. I tried harder, forced smiles, rehearsed conversations in my head, but it only made things worse. My attempts at connection felt strained and artificial because my body was screaming "danger" beneath the surface. It was like trying to sing a beautiful song while holding my breath. The major emotional shift happened when I stumbled upon polyvagal theory, a groundbreaking understanding of our nervous system. It wasn't about willpower or personality, it was about safety. I started to understand that my inability to connect wasn't a personal failing, but a physiological response to perceived threat. This wasn't about being broken, it was about being wired for survival. This realization was like a key unlocking a cage I didn't even know I was in. If connection was about safety, then my task wasn't to try harder, but to create a sense of safety within myself and for others. This meant regulating my own nervous system first. It meant recognizing the subtle cues of threat, both internal and external, and learning to soothe my own physiological responses. I started small. Before entering a social situation, I would take a few slow, deep breaths, focusing on lengthening my exhale, a simple technique to activate the ventral vagal complex. I started noticing my body's subtle cues, the tension in my shoulders, the tightness in my jaw. Instead of ignoring them, I would acknowledge them, gently reminding myself that I was safe. Then, I shifted my focus outward. Instead of trying to impress, I started genuinely observing. I'd look for signs of openness in others, a relaxed posture, genuine eye contact, a warm tone of voice. I learned to read the subtle body language that signals safety and openness. And crucially, I stopped trying to control the outcome. My goal wasn't to make friends or be popular, but simply to offer safety and curiosity. This subtle shift changed everything. When my own nervous system was calmer, I naturally became more present. My voice softened, my gestures became more open, my eye contact more genuine. People responded differently. They felt my openness, not my anxiety. Conversations flowed more easily. The walls began to dissolve, not because I forced them down, but because the perceived threat had diminished. The surprising neuroscience of making connections isn't just about understanding brain chemicals, it's about understanding the deep, embodied language of safety. It's about recognizing that every interaction is a dance between nervous systems, a subtle exchange of cues that either invite connection or trigger withdrawal. You can't force connection, but you can create the conditions for it. Your ability to connect deeply, to truly belong, hinges not on charm or charisma, but on your capacity to regulate your own nervous system and to intuitively offer safety to another. The question then becomes, are you building bridges of safety or reinforcing the walls of self-protection? Because until your nervous system feels safe, real connection will always remain just beyond your reach.